So welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a good break. So this next piece I want to go over with you is called our finished versus complete. So what is the distinction for you between these two words, finished versus complete? Can I have some of you share your thoughts on that? Thank you. Anybody else? There's no right or wrong answer here. I just want to hear from some of the group on this finished versus complete. Thank you. So I'm going to give you a couple examples on finished versus complete. The first one is I have chosen to paint my bedroom. I talked to my daughter. I let her know that we are going to be painting. I'm going to be painting, and I will let her know when it's done. When the painting's done, she could then move into the bedroom. So I told her to give me a day to do that. So I bought the paint. I prepped the room. I moved the bed out of the room. I covered the furniture. I started to prep the walls. I taped around the windows. I taped around the light fixtures. I'm ready to paint. So I start painting and I get done with the first coat. And I'm starting to look at the room and it's looking really nice. I like the color I chose. And I know she will too. So then I go with a second coat now. And as I'm painting, I'm just thinking about how she's going to enjoy this space when she gets to move in there. So I finished painting. I've used all the paint right down to the last drop in the bucket. I've used all the paint and I feel very good about that. There's no wasting, the job is done, and now I could put all the furniture back and get the room ready for her to move into. So that's what I do. The room is ready. The next day I call her and I said, okay, your room is ready. You wanna come and see the paint? So we go into the room and she's like, wow, Mom, it's pretty, it's nice, thank you, I like it. But as I'm looking, I notice this one spot in the corner that looks so different from the rest of the walls. And I look again and it seems to me like it's getting bigger. But I tell her, oh my God, I said, look, my girl, I said, looks like I forgot to do a second coat on that little spot up there. That little square piece, do you see it? And she says, still looks good, Mom. I could see what you mean, but it's fine. It's not that noticeable. And I tell her, but it is noticeable. It's very noticeable to me. I said, I wanted to do a good job. I said, and now I don't even have any more paint to fix it, I told her. So even though I finished painting the room is now incomplete to me because of that one spot that I see up there. So back and forth, me and her she's trying to make me feel better, and I'm trying to tell her, no, it needs to be fixed. And she said, no, Mom, she said, it'll be fine. It's way up there, nobody's gonna look. And so I just let it go, even though it's eating away at me. But it's her room, so she says it's gonna be okay. So that's an example of finished versus complete. I finished painting the room, but it doesn't feel complete to me. So that's a distinction between the two. Another example can be Indian residential schools. We know the last one closed in 1996, and they're done. They're no longer running. They are finished. But are they complete? So in that example there, we have, the residential schools are done, but there's still so much stuff, trauma, events that still feel incomplete for many people, for many, myself included. So even though they are finished, done, they're just not complete. And so then we get stuck in this space where we are, we're thinking about the stuff that was taken from us from the residential school. We get stuck in this cycle of why don't I feel this complete even though it's finished? That feeling of not finishing the paint, of being robbed of pieces of your culture from residential school, those feelings, those events or those feelings, they make you feel incomplete. So when you're incomplete with something or someone, you start being run by it, affected by it, pushed around by it, stuck by it, with it. All of the emotions around it, you feel that. So an example of an incompletion is, I have this backpack, and an incompletion can be, look at it like a rock. You put that in your backpack, and you have one, and it might not be so bad, and you can still move around. But you start to put more incompletions in that backpack, and what happens? The backpack gets heavy. It's hard to constantly pull this stuff around with you. So even though it's happened in the past, you're still carrying it around with you, and you're now, you're getting triggered by things that happened in the past, but they're all showing up in your present. And if we don't resolve that stuff that's happened in the past, they're going to continue showing up in your present. And what keeps those incompletions stuck is that emotion that's attached to it, or wanting to be right about it. So, for example, here, so even though we have events that have happened in the past, they are still showing up in our present. So then we are not present, we are living in the past. Things that have happened in the past prevent us from looking forward. So instead of looking or thinking about the future, we are still thinking about our past. So you can see how these events, these incompletions, they keep us stuck in the past. So in order to break that cycle, these generational cycles from the past, we don't want to continue getting triggered. We don't want to be afraid of, being triggered about looking at those events and carrying them into the future or passing them on to our children. We want to be able to be present for our children, for ourselves, so that we could look towards our future and not have to look back. So this next activity is an incompletion exercise. So this exercise is very important. It is a vital part of the workshop and homework. I want you to fill in answers as we go through this. I'll explain it in a moment. You could write point form, but I want you to use name, words, or initials. Don't judge it. There's neither right nor wrong answers, good or bad. It's just what it is. And these questions can cover your whole life. And this is for you. Nobody else will see it unless you show it to them. So I want you to open up your books to 2 clean pages like this. Everybody open your books. Now that they're all open, I want you to draw a line down the center. 1 line. So then you have 4 sections, and I want you to number them. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're done that, everybody's done. Okay, so now we're going to move on. You're going to turn to another clean page. And here you're going to do the exact same thing. Line down the center, and you're going to number them. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Once you're done that, you're going to do it again. Draw your line, number them. 9, 10, 11, 12. And one more time. 13, 14, 15, 16. Dividing the pages. So now you have 16 sections. And from there, I'm going to ask you a question. And for those of you who need that extra time to write down these questions, if you want to write the question along with your answers, I will take my time, or you could come and see me later if you missed something. So number 1, who or what am I angry or resentful with? Who or what am I angry or resentful with? So my examples could be social worker, First Nations, Treaty, Métis, Inuit people, parents, white people, whatever applies to you, write in that. And I'll give you a couple minutes to work on that. Number 2, who or what am I afraid of? That could be systems, men, abusive partners, foster homes, bullies. Number 3, things I want to change or do and haven't. So I want to continue my education, my boundaries with my children, my boundaries with my parents. I want to be closer to my cousins like we were before. Number 4, things I have wanted to say and not said to whom. So, for example, to my ex, We are finished, but we are not complete. So I have an incompletion there. Another one could be with my coworker, how they can be distracting to the other students. Number 5, where has love been lost or is missing? So for myself, love is lost. My friends, my husband, my parents. It could be anybody in your circle, past, present. Okay, number 6, who or what have I given up on? So my spiritual self, my physical health, my besties, so my friends. Number 7, who have I been blaming or making wrong? So who have you been blaming and making wrong? That could be parents, yourself, teachers, your community, whoever that may be. Number 8, where has trust been lost or is missing? That could be myself, the police, white people, intimate relationships. Number 9, what do I lie about? Remember, nobody's going to see this but yourself unless you show it to someone. So what do I lie about? It could be myself, my health, my grief. Number 10, what have I not forgiven myself or others for? My unhealthy relationships, my past relationships that were with my exes for being absent, my relationships with addictions, my parenting. Number 11, who have I hurt in my life and who has hurt me? So that could be myself. I have hurt myself, I've hurt peers, parents, daughters, children. Who has hurt me? My abusers, myself. So whoever that may be for you. Number 12, what is incomplete with my children or other children? So for my children, it could be their mental health and their addictions. Last 4 questions. Number 13, what is incomplete with your spouse or your ex? So I have, that could be an issue of feeling abandoned, feeling like you're not good enough. That grief I feel with my late husband. Number 14, what is incomplete with my parents and siblings? So my parents, it could be the lack of emotions. My sisters, it could be their upbringing, how different it was, addictions. Number 15, what is incomplete in my relationship with Creator? And that could be the trust, ceremonies, rituals, And last question. What is incomplete with other Indigenous or non-Indigenous people? So I have a lot of incompletions around the Christians in my family, the lateral violence, and the systemic racism. So those are the 16 questions. Once everybody's done, I'm going to now put you into small groups. I'm going to number you off from 1 to 3, and we're going to break off into little groups of 3. Once you get into your groups, I want you to share what you have noticed while doing this exercise. So I'll give you guys 10 minutes to do this part of the activity. Okay, now that everybody has had that opportunity to share, I'm going to call you back to the large group, and I want a few people to share what they saw. What did you notice doing these 16 questions? Or what did you notice sharing the activity with the little small groups? So as you share those pieces or shared them, I want to bring some points to your attention. So around incompletions, a lot of the incompletions have occurred or happened here in the past, but where are they showing up? Right, they're showing up in your present. So when you have an incompletion, it triggers a reaction, and it's in here that it's showing up, and it's not allowing you to move or look forward. And when an incompletion shows up, you are no longer here, or you're not even present to what happened in the past, because you're stuck on that incompletion. So all of this is based on survival or fixing. When you are incomplete, you protect a particular reaction that you've had as being to the continuation of who you have considered yourself to be. The reaction becomes a part of your identity. When you're complete with something or someone, you shift from being run by it, affected by it, pushed around by it, stuck with it, all those emotions. You shift from that space to creating a sense of space with the issue so that you have satisfaction, self-expression, openness. You can be you, and you're not stuck with it. So when incompletions show up in your life, it's hard to be present, it's hard to look to the future. So I want to thank everybody for sharing, and I want you to now look back on what we've gone over here today. Even though you don't know which direction this workshop is taking you in, you have a sense of the depth by your 16 questions. That's one example. The depth that we will be going. So this is the opportunity for you to make a choice as to whether you want to continue or leave. You have a sense of what we're going to be talking about, and it's not a judgment on you. If you feel you have to leave or the workshop is not for you, please honor yourself and do so. And I ask that anybody who does choose to leave, please come and talk to me or one of the other trainers or your facilitator that set up this workshop. Please don't leave without talking to us, okay? Thank you. So at this time, we're gonna break for lunch. It's a couple minutes to 12, and I would like everybody to be back here by 1 o'clock. Thank you.